Yo guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome if you've not been here before. So I've just jumped on this morning to create my weekly forecast for the week commencing the 15th of November until the 19th of November. So I'm going to forecast these 6 pairs as usual, so let's just jump into it. Alright, so Nzdusd, what we've had is this 2 break structure on the daily. Then we've got equal highs at the top and prices start to move away from old equal highs. So as I forecasted last week, I'm still looking at this area down here, which is the overall last sell before the buy, which broke structure on the daily. So in terms of where price will be coming back down to most likely, I really think that we will see it come back down here, fill all this imbalance, and then mitigate any orders set hopefully in this area, but even down there in this wicks possibility. But yeah, in terms of buying it, maybe later in the week this week, if we do get a move straight down, I might look at something like that. So we could literally just see a continuation straight down, and then it takes off. Uh, and that's one situation that I'm seeing on Nzdusd in terms of a bullish situation. Now let's just dig a bit deeper into this lower time frame structure. So I've been mainly following the 2 hour on Nzdusd, and what we had was a couple of weeks ago I predicted that area, we got reaction there. Then last week we got the reaction off this area up here, and then we've gone to break structure, and we broke this area that I spoke about a few times with regard to the 4 hour. So we've also got now a break structure on the 4 hour, showing that we are looking at bearish price action really on Nzdusd. Now, the fact that we broke this 4 hour, for me personally, it makes sense that we would see potentially some type of pullback. Now, if we are going to be coming up straight out of here, maybe it won't be necessary to get a pullback. We could just see that aggressive move play out, and then we'll be looking for buys out of there. But if either they just want to generate more liquidity in the market before they take price down there, or if potentially price isn't going to respect this area, then I think it will make sense for us to see a pullback really. So looking at this whole move, what we've got is pretty much the 4 hour extreme. Now, in terms of other areas in the price action, there is this wick here, which does stand out to me as potentially a place where price could sell off from. So price could come up here and then sell off from there. And that does make some sense because just due to the size of the wick and the imbalance. So if price does come up there, to be fair, then I'll probably be keeping an eye on it, because if we do start to get sells straight out of that area, then it makes sense. But what I'm also seeing is up here at the range extreme. So what we've basically got is this is the 4 hour low, this is the 4 hour high. So you've got this whole leg here. Now looking at the extreme, if we look, where does the inefficiency start? The inefficiency really starts below this candle here. And if we look at it on the 2 hour, it's even clearer. So we've got imbalance below this candle. Above that, there's no real imbalance. So for me personally, I'm looking at price coming out of this candle here, and then we can ride it all the way down there. But I will be open to taking sells here in the lower POI, or if we do just smash through, then I'll be open to taking buys. And now just finally, what I'm seeing on the 2 hour the 2 hour time frame is we've got this here, which is a bullish breaker structure. So if we are going to be looking for price to travel up here to one of these two POIs, we are looking at over 50 pips to get to both. So a reasonable opportunity for an intraday setup might be to buy out of here. So this here with imbalance, cause a breaker structure. So for me, if we do see price dip into there, start rejecting off it early next week, I'll probably be looking for buy opportunities and targeting this area here as a first point of potential reversal to then go lower. Alright, so moving on to AU. So guys, if you like these forecasts, please do subscribe to the channel because it does take time to create each week, and I'm super grateful for every subscription, and I really appreciate you guys watching my videos. And in the future I am going to be bringing out some new content, some different content relating to trading. The next series I'm going to do is going to be about trading processes, and I will keep up my weekly forecast as often as I can for you guys, so please do subscribe if you like the videos, if you like my channel. Alright, so looking at the daily now, just delete this stuff from over here. So looking at the daily on AU, we've broken structure here. Now, in terms of the point where price might start traveling upwards from to follow that break structure, the only thing that really stands out is this big wick here, because this wick grabs liquidity below these wicks here. So, looking at the refinement of that, we've also got pretty clear, you've got it accumulating there, then it pulls down, and then it starts going. So, definitely this area, I'm interested in how's price going to react off that. So I accept it could just break through that area, but personally I'm mostly interested in seeing a buy setup come out of that area, and then hopefully if we do get that buy set up, we can take it into new high highs on the daily. But if it breaks through it, that's fine as well, and then I'll have to reevaluate the situation. But yeah, that's what we're looking at on the daily, is basically a pullback into this area. So within that, we've got essentially this bearish price action, which is bringing us back down there. Now, with the 4 hour, we're breaking structure to the low, so we had our first one there, second one there, and it's left behind this here with imbalance, but we then had another breaker structure just there, which is now left behind this wick. So for me, price could come back up here, and if that happens, then potentially we could look at sales if we've not already tapped into here. But for now, I'm going to keep my focus mainly on these lower POI, since that's the first place where price will reverse from. Now, if we do break this area, potentially looking for sells out of here. But at the moment, I'm just keeping my focus on these lower areas here. So what I can see is we've got this wick here, which caused this breaker structure. So really, that's the first point, the last buy to sell that I can see on the chart. So that's the first point where I'm going to really be looking at getting involved out of in terms of selling. And if you look at it on the 1 hour, we can see we've got our accumulation, we've got the buy, and then the sell that breaks structure. So I think with the imbalance as well, that's a really cool area to potentially be taking sells out of. So for me personally this week, I'm looking to take price down into that area on the daily, and I'll be looking to do so out of this area up here. So looking to take this sell position once we get up there. Now, in terms of when we do get to this daily area, I will look for buys. Of course, when you see such a deep retracement in terms of daily range, you can never rule out that price is just going to smash through it. So I'll be keeping an open mind with regard to the daily POI, but I will be looking for buys once we get into this area, see if any opportunities present. So yeah, sells from the 4 hour area, buys from the daily area, and then I have just marked up this shorter term area down here. So on the 1 hour, you get your breaker structure, which is there, and that comes from this candle here, which has got a clear imbalance, which causes this impulsive move. So to me, it makes perfect sense that at the start of a week, we'll come down there, mitigate this order block, which caused breaker structure, and then we'll see some upside. And the upside will most likely take us to this point here for sales. So yeah, potentially we could see that, and if we do see that on a Monday or Tuesday, then I'm going to be looking to take buys on AU, because we've still got a pretty reasonable range to work with. It's 60 pips, so if you can get on that with a reasonable stop loss, it's still a reasonable move to be getting involved with. So yeah, super short term, looking at buys out of a 1 hour. Midterm, looking at sells out of this 4 hour, and then we'll see what happens. And the longer term position, either hold the sells and we'll see what happens and the daily might just break, or looking for this daily entry and then taking price back into higher highs on the daily time frame. So let's see what happens with AU. Now Euro USD, it's a bit of a simpler situation, I'd say, really. So last week I forecasted this POI based on the 4-hour refinement of the 8-hour time frame, and as we can see, it's reacted off it pretty much perfectly, really. I didn't get an entry on this one myself, but we've had 170 pips just after it tapped into the area that I forecasted. So following this now, we really are in very bearish structure. There's no signs of bullishness at all really in this structure right now, so I'm only going to be interested in sells. Now, in terms of where should we sell from, I basically identified 2 areas to sell from. So sticking on the 8-hour for now, what we can see, and this is also the same on the 4-hour, what we can see is this candle here causes break structure. This imbalance here means that this wick is the last point of buys before the sell move. So we'll see if we can get a better refinement. So yeah, on the 1-hour, we've got a pretty clean refinement there with imbalance, and that was actually the last buy before the sell move, which broke structure. So for me, if we're looking at price coming back up here, definitely that would make sense to me for price to come out of there. Now we could see it coming up higher, up into here, and the sell thesis would still be valid. But for me, I'm going to be looking at sells out of there if we do get to that point. Now, the other thing with this is that we are actually in a very aggressive move, and sometimes in these moves, you know, you can get a big imbalance which is just left behind, like you've got up here or up here. Doesn't necessarily have to come back to fill that imbalance. And what I'm seeing here is we've got some type of order flow in this area. So we then have a break and a second break, but we've got this here which is a clear POI, and it's got imbalance below it, the imbalance has technically now been filled. But for me personally, if I am going to be trading off this area, I'd probably want to be seeing price retrace higher into it. So I've also basically marked out this POI just on the basis that maybe price will move a lot more aggressively than it maybe would if we see it pull back up to there. So yeah, I think either move is pretty possible really on EU. If we do see the pull back up to there, that would be beautiful, and if we start to sell off from there, then hopefully I can get an entry on it. But if we do see, you know, price struggling to push above this point, starts rejecting here, I think an aggressive continuation play is perfectly reasonable. Alright, so moving on to Euro Pound. Alright, so Euro Pound, not much really changed since last week. It's pretty much still the same situation. We're looking at this bearish supply level. We tapped into it, which I think happened either Monday last week or it already happened. And then we've just been moving away from the daily supply after we tapped into it really. So what I did identify last week is we've got this breaker structure here. Then we had another breaker structure here. So I was looking at this area up here as a potential point of mitigation, and we had the impulsive moves, and then we've had this corrective move back up to mitigate. After that, we started to move away from it. You might have seen just then that I did have a trade on this. I actually got taken out for break even before it went on without me, but that's trading for you. But yeah, this is basically after mitigating. I'm expecting it to go further down really. So at this point now, we already are. I mean, we're already pretty far into this move really, and this 4-hour bullish order block's so close now. There's also nothing really super clear within this price action. So what I'm really seeing now on EG is we're just going to have to wait a little while, and then once we hopefully complete this move, then maybe we'll see a buy come out, take us deep into the supply, and then take us lower. And I think for me at this moment in time, that'd be the ideal situation. But in terms of just opportunity planning overall, I'll be looking again, just the same as last week. I'll be looking for excuses to buy out of this area, and I'll be looking at excuses to sell out of this area. All right, so that's EG this week. So moving on to GU. So GU again, it's not really the most complicated situation for me personally. So we've come away from that 2-day that I predicted a few weeks ago. We have now completed the move. So following on from that, we're looking at continuing bearish price action until we get shown otherwise. And in terms of the continuation of bearish price action, we've got the break of structure bear, mitigation, break of structure, and this is a very clear daily POI for us to look for sales from. So 100% if we get up here, I'm looking for sales, and hopefully we can get a nice trade coming out of that area, take it lower. But let's see how it all plays out. We could still potentially come much higher and still take a sell move out of there. But for me, I'm going to be looking at this daily point of interest. I think that's cleanest. So finally onto GJ. So let's just start with the current price action on the 4 hour. So on the 4 hour, breaking structures to the low, and then we've had this huge impulse here. Now that's left behind that area up there that I predicted a potential sell from last week. If it does come back there, maybe I'll take a sell, but at that point it is a pretty deep retracement. So right now this area, I've not really got too much interest in it overall. What I'm seeing on the 4 hour right now is we've got a break of structure here, and that break comes from this candle here, which has got imbalance, and then on the 2 hour you've got the cleanest refinement of it. So for me, I think most likely it's just going to be something like this, come down into the daily POI, and then we can start taking off out of there hopefully. But looking at this, even to be open at the daily from this 2 hour refinement, we've got 132 pips. So with a small enough stop loss, that can be a huge move coming into this week. So for me this week, I'm going to be looking for sells out of there on the pound yen, and we'll see what happens with that. And that's in terms of what's happening on the 4 hour and the 2 hour. But now looking at what's happening on the daily, so we broke structure, and the last sell before the buy was really in this candle here. So that's your last sell candle before the buy move. Now looking at refinements of that, for me it's clearest on the 15-minute. And on the 15-minute, what you've got is accumulation here, and then they drag it down to get liquidity for buys, and then they go off and they leave behind this imbalance here. So for me, that's a perfect refinement of this whole daily move. So hopefully we'll see price start going bullish out of this 15-minute refinement. And for me, I have placed that trade as a limit order with my stop loss below the actual daily candle. So we'll see if that comes through. But yeah, on the daily time frame, I'm basically expecting some type of buy opportunities coming out of this candle here, and ideally coming out of this area here or around this area, since I think that's the most ideal refinement that I can find of that area. Now, if we do just smash through it, there's still this area down here which we could potentially be buying from, or we could just be seeing, a change in direction. But most likely, I do think we're going to continue seeing some more buys on GJ overall. So let's see, and hopefully we'll be getting buys out of this area down here. So yeah, that's GJ, selling out of the 4 hour and buying out of the daily. Alright guys, so as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm glad you found, I hope you found this content useful, and thank you for watching guys. So I'll put the written version of this forecast in my video description, so if any of you guys do want to cross-reference and want to see the written version, then just take a look on there. And please subscribe to the channel, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys have a great day and a great and safe trading week. Cheers, guys.